All right, Anne. Well, I think it's safe to say we'll go ahead and get started. I'll just keep admitting people as they pop up on our screen. But welcome everybody. Hello again. This is our first May Members Monday meetup. I'm really excited to have with us Dr. Anne Friedman. As part of Mental Health Awareness Month here at the Health Museum, Anne is leading us with yet a second session of learning how to be mindful and adjusting to all the crazy changes that we've had over these last 8 weeks being in quarantine. And some of us may be headed back to work. Some of us may have been at work this entire time, whether you're at home with your family or at work. I'm really happy to have Anne show us a few tricks and practices and exercises that we can do just about anywhere and take with us to have a little bit healthier life. So without further ado, Anne, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Katie. I'm really thrilled to be here. So a little bit about me. I am a psychologist and I trained at U of H and did my residency at UT Med School and my postdoc at Baylor College of Medicine. And then I taught at the University of Houston in the psychology department. And in 2006, I had panic attacks, which run in my family. I never thought I was going to have them. So it was a very humbling experience, but it was a very tough year and my anxiety went through the roof that year. My husband was saying to me, honey, I've never seen you like this before. Why fix yourself? You're a psychologist. And it was the best thing that ever happened in many, many ways. Because that year I found mindfulness, which was not really here in Houston very much. And it changed my life so dramatically that while I maintain my license, I no longer see patients. Instead, I teach mindfulness full time. So I'm really glad to be here to share it with you because this can be a transformational practice, not for everyone, but for many people. So what is mindfulness? And most of you have probably heard of it. It is paying attention to the present moment with a quality of attention that is open, curious, and willing to be with what is that we cannot change. So 3 pieces, the paying attention part is the first piece. And how often do you think that you are not paying attention to the present moment? Well, Harvard University told us in 2010, after a worldwide study, that the human brain wanders about half the time. We are not where our bodies are. They issued cell phone apps to people that buzzed, and then they had them respond, is your mind on this or not? A yes or no. And then they also had them rate how happy they are in that moment. And what they found is that people report half the time they're not where their bodies are. So I'm washing my dinner dishes to put them in the dishwasher, but my mind's back at the office. So the answer is no, I'm not here, I'm there, right? Mm-hmm. So paying attention just on its own, we know now, is something that we have to train the brain to do, which is what mindfulness is, a training of the brain. And then with a quality of attention that is open, curious, and willing to be with what is. So that gets really hard with things like COVID-19, with things like losing jobs, people getting sick. At the same time, how much control do we have over those issues? If you're saying none, yeah. We don't have control over traffic, weather, our health, many, many things, right? We can do things to try to benefit our health, but we could be covering our our faces, wearing gloves, and still somehow catch it on a box or something that we don't know. We can't control everything. So mindfulness is very much about learning to be with things that we cannot change, that can cause high anxiety when we try to resist them. So tonight I am going to be talking to you about a number of different practices that you can use to begin to deal with some of these issues. So I will tell you that when I learned mindfulness beginning in 2006, I have never had another panic attack, and my own anxiety has gone down to very little. I don't really get too anxious about much of anything. I mean, everyone does occasionally, but rarely now for me. So, so the first thing I would like to do is teach you a little bit about your brain, and then we're going to begin to do some practices. If you were to take your thumb, put it in the palm of your hand, and fold your fingers over, you have roughly made a model of your brain. So when I got certified to teach mindfulness, it was through UCLA, and one of our professors is Dr. Dan Siegel, an MD there, and this is his model, but I find it really useful to explain to people a little bit about why your mind does what it does. So this would be your spinal cord coming up your back, your brain stem, and this whole bottom part of your hand is for survival. So there are automatic processes there, like breathing, that you don't have to think about. But this thumb that kind of curls around here is representative of your limbic system. And when we are threatened in any way, and it's not just physical threats, it's emotional threats, social threats, financial threats, any kind of threat to us activates the limbic system of the brain, in particular a piece in the brain called the amygdala. But when that happens and we become highly activated, it is metaphorically as if we flip our lids and we don't connect well to this part of the brain. It's like you can't think straight in the moment because you're so like upset and riled up. And this part of the brain develops over time, really not, they think now, until the later 20s, 26, 27, 28. And it's responsible for impulse control, judgment, and higher level thinking. So if you think about a time maybe you were rear-ended or something happened, and in that moment you're like, what happened? What happened? And then all of a sudden you begin to think, take a breath and realize, oh, we got hit, and look around. But in that moment, it is like it disconnects. And it can do that with any kind of really upsetting experience in your life. Like you're worried you can't pay your mortgage. And now what happens is the brain and the limbic system starts to ruminate. And it is a very human experience where our minds literally get on this, I call it a tornado when it happens to me, but it hasn't happened to me in years, which I'm so grateful for. But it's this rumination experience of just going and going and going, and you want to stop thinking about what you're thinking about, but you can't. You bring your focus back to your work, and then your mind's on, oh my gosh, how am I going to make this payment? Or is my loved one going to get well? Or whatever it is. The brain is trying to find an answer for something that it can't answer. It doesn't have a crystal ball. It can't project into the future. It doesn't know if you're going to get the money, or if your loved one's going to get well, or if you're going to lose your job, or if your child is going to get into trouble for, some difficulties they're having. And so it keeps us up at night. And mindfulness gives us tools to calm this part of the brain, to reconnect our brains. And it has been shown to boost immune system functioning, decrease anxiety and depression, help with focus, attention, many different physical health benefits to this practice. And that's why it's being used now in corporations, nonprofits, schools, the US military. And now what I'd like to do is teach you some practices that you can use. So I mentioned this limbic system of the brain, and when that part of the brain gets super activated because you're super anxious and upset about something, your sympathetic nervous system activates. And you have one of three responses. You either flee, run, get out of the situation. You fight back, either physically or verbally, or you freeze, going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And you don't know what to say. And then you usually walk out of the room and think, why didn't I say that? But in that moment, you were just speechless and frozen. So what we're going to do now is activate the opposite system in the body, the parasympathetic system, which is on the vagus nerve on your spine. It goes from the base of your skull down to your tailbone, into your guts, rib cage, and face. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in our bodies. And when we take 3 to 6 long, slow, deep breaths, it activates this nerve. And this activates our parasympathetic system of rest and digest. So it's diaphragmatic breathing we're going to use. And I want to ask you, is this the proper way to take a deep breath? If you're shaking your head, no, you would be correct. That is not the proper way to take a deep breath. You don't have to have a lot of shoulder action, which people often do, and your belly should expand on the inhale and contract on the exhale. A lot of people think you suck in with an inhale, and you don't. Your belly should balloon out and then go down as you blow the air out. So we're going to do some long, slow, deep breaths. And since I can't see most of you, I hope you'll feel comfortable in just blowing out of your mouth. You can do this out of the nose as well, but what I really want you to do is really blow out that stale air, where you just can't blow anymore at all, like there's just no more air in you, okay? We'll breathe in through the nose for the count of 3, hold for 2, out of the mouth for the count of 5. It helps to have the exhale longer than the inhale. And I will count us. Ready? Inhale. Hold. Exhale. 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 And breathing naturally now, in and out through your nostrils. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your mind feels. So this practice of doing 3 to 6 long, slow, deep breaths should have made you feel very relaxed physically. I've seen blood pressure numbers drop 20 points. You're creating alpha waves in your brain, waves of calm. It facilitates your digestion because when we're all tensed up, usually our guts are affected in negative ways. So this helps the digestion flow. Thank you. How does everyone feel, Katie? That's a good question. Does anybody want to say what happened to them? So hopefully you all had a sense of just relaxation. This practice of long, slow, deep breaths can be done any time of day, anywhere, and you can do it. Oh, good. It was helpful. Good. I'm glad. If you are driving, though, don't close your eyes. But it sometimes does help to focus down so you're not taking in a lot of distractions. But again, 3 to 6 long, slow, deep breaths. So this is your sympathetic system, and we want to activate the parasympathetic to relax us. Another way that we calm the mind is during the day to use the practice called stop. Stop is a practice to actually tune into our experience. We want to be more skillful in the way we take care of our bodies, our minds, and the way we speak and act. And the only way we can really do that is to tune in. So I'm going to take you through a mini stop practice and see what you notice. So when we practice, we usually sit erect in a chair, but you don't want to be rigid. You want to be relaxed. Your hands resting in your lap in any position, feet on the floor to ground. And your chin a little tucked. You don't want your head flopped forward or backwards. It impedes the flow of the breath. So just chin a little tucked so your spine's in alignment, and close your eyes or gaze downward softly without focusing into anything. And I'd invite you now to stop. That's what we're doing, stop. The S stands for stop. And again, take a long, slow, deep breath. And now observe. We can't take care of our bodies unless we tune into them. Notice the overall feeling of your body. Is it relaxed and comfortable? Fidgety? Tense still? Maybe you've got some aches and pains. Notice what is alive and real in your body. And you might notice what your body is needing from this. Does it need to take a hot bath, to stretch, to go take a walk when this is over? What is your body needing? Maybe to lie down and sleep. And now turning your attention to your mind. Notice the state of your mind. Is it relaxed, focused, calm? Jumpy, spinning, distracted, achy, dull, tired? And I'd invite you also to notice what your mind has been telling you recently today. And to ask yourself, is it true? Can I know it's true? And now checking into your emotional body. What emotions are present? Can you name them silently in your mind? And which is the strongest of those emotions? Label that and then ask, if it's a difficult emotion, what is the emotion needing? And emotions can need many things. It could need to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted, self-acceptance, better communication, clarity, rest, exercise, something physical. It could need mutuality, love, appreciation, respect. Many, many universal human needs. And only when we notice what we are feeling and what that emotion is needing can we act skillfully to meet those needs. And then taking a long, slow, deep breath. And now you're ready to proceed. So stop, take a breath, observe body, mind, and emotion before we proceed. And I'm inviting you now to raise your gaze. And if anybody would be brave to tell me what they realized, what was your check-in telling you? Anyone want to jump in? Well, many times I have students say, I just realized that I've been walking around like this all day long and I never realized it until right now. Yeah. Um, so they didn't realize the physical tension. Also have had students realize that they were believing something that they didn't need to believe. So yesterday, for example, I had a jam-packed day. And my mind, when I got up, was saying, oh my gosh, you've got so much to do today. You've got to do all this stuff. I'm sorry, it was not yesterday, it was the day before, but whatever. My mind was telling me, lots to do, hurry. And I realized that I did not need to hurry. Yes, I'm getting a lot of good comments. I've been irritable all day because I felt overwhelmed in the morning. Yes. And if we can say to someone instead, I'm feeling overwhelmed, what do I need to do to take care of that? What can I do to take care of overwhelm? Right? Instead of just trying to push it away, these emotions are like Pac-Man. They just gnaw at us until we turn around and honor them and say, oh, I see you. You're here to tell me something. And so in overwhelm, maybe we need to breathe. Maybe we need to lie down for 10 minutes. Maybe we need to talk to a friend and just say, wow, I just got to say I'm really feeling overwhelmed. There's nothing to be done about it. I just want to talk about it. Maybe we need to go back to the person who has given us a lot of assignments and say, a bit overwhelmed here, and I'm wondering if we should prioritize so I'll know which order to take these in, and I won't feel like they all need to be done at once. So only when we understand what we're needing, if it's clarity or prioritization or just to be heard, someone to listen to us, do we know then how to deal with that overwhelm. Is this making sense? So we're checking in with what the mind's telling us, what we're feeling emotionally, and just, good, I'm glad it makes sense. Just labeling the emotion calms the limbic system of the brain. It's like, ah, I see what's here now. It's anxiety. You know, and it calms. They've done this with electrodes on the skull, and labeling emotions just calms the brain a bit. So just that little check-in should help to just stop and pay attention. What is going on? What am I needing? And we live in a society that very often doesn't ask us, like, don't be needy. Don't be needy, right? No one should be needy. Well, the bottom line is we all have universal human needs. And if we don't meet our needs, then we do have a lot of difficult emotions coming up. So it's really important to tune into what am I needing right now, and to give ourselves that self-care. Any questions about what I've said so far? Or any of the practices so far?
How often would you recommend us using this practice to stop and reflect?
Anytime you're feeling antsy, or like I was the other morning of, I gotta get this done, rushed. I was like, nope, stop. What are you believing? That you need to hurry to go. You know, I can be way more effective if I take breaths and stay calm and do things slowly. It's more efficient than if I'm running from thing to thing, right? So just noticing, even, is my mind telling me something I don't need to believe? It's trying to be helpful, but it's not often.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw another question, but I didn't get a chance to read it. Did you see it, Katie?
Yes. It's asking, how do you begin the breathing exercises once anxiety is already has your mind spinning?
Yeah, so the breathing exercises may not be the way to go. And if you're in a full-fledged panic attack, I don't know how anxious you are, but I had two of them in 2006 and I was on the ceiling. I mean, I didn't sleep for like 3 nights in a row and I was just wired. It's a terrible feeling. One of the things that you can do if you are really on the verge of high anxiety, verging on a panic attack, is to ground in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 you can smell, and then the taste in your mouth. But one of the things you want to do to ground yourself is to describe them as if you are describing them to someone who is not there. So just to say, oh, I see a green thumbtack, I'm looking at my bulletin board, that's not going to do it. I need to say, I see a black rectangle with a cork board surface that is also black and has flecks of white, and there is a circular green plastic sticking out of the board. You want to like describe it like that. And literally, if you do that with, again, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're touching right now, tasting and smelling, it can bring your whole system ground you. Basically, I've had clients come into my office for a private session, just they could not even sit still. And I'm not exaggerating. Literally, they are just moving like this and talking like a machine gun. And as soon as I do this practice with them, they can breathe and talk. So that is one possibility. And then I'm going to show you another practice as well that will help you learn to bring yourself down. Any other questions before I move into another practice? Yes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is to describe 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear. And again, you don't want to say, oh, that was a dog barking. You want to see if you can literally describe the dog bark. It was a high pitch. It was syncopated with ruff, 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 ruff. And literally, it sounds kind of wacky, but it literally helps the mind ground when it is flying off. And then the textures you're feeling with your hands, or the pressure of your body and what you're feeling on your bottom with your chair or bed or couch that you're sitting on, how that feels. And then 2 things you can smell, maybe a cup of coffee or something like that. And then the taste in your mouth. You're welcome. I'm happy to share that. Yes, yes. So the other thing that we're going to do today is, when I explain to you, when you're super anxious, your mind is ruminating usually, which means when we train our mind through mindfulness, it's like training this muscle. So if I were trying to develop a muscle in my arm, I would get a weight and I would do repetitions, right? And over time, not quickly, this muscle would grow. It's the same thing with mindfulness, only what we're doing is mind goes off, bringing it back. Mind goes off, bringing it back. And it is that repetition of returning the mind that actually increases gray matter and wiring in 8 key areas of the brain. And they've seen this even after 20 minutes of practice for 6 to 8 weeks. They've seen people's gray matter thicken in key areas. So it literally is, it's not a muscle, but where it's building a muscle of attention up there, I guess figuratively. So that is what we do. When we ruminate, however, we can't bring our mind back and keep it there. It goes right back out to, oh my gosh, am I going to pay the bills? And then you bring it back. No, right now I'm trying to do this report for work. No, am I going to be able to pay the bills? And it just keeps taking us off. And the problem is we're trying to use the mind to solve an insolvable problem. The mind is actually trying to solve an insolvable problem. And it's the wrong organ of the body. What we are needing to do in that moment is to let go of thinking that we have a crystal ball and instead focus on bringing ourselves equanimity, kindness, and compassion. So that's the next practice that I'm going to be guiding you through. So again, putting your feet flat on the floor. You want to feel grounded. You can sit cross-legged if you would like. It's even possible to have your legs out. It's not as important how you're sitting as you just feel grounded. That's what I want you to, grounded and relaxed bodies, alert minds. So hands relaxed in your lap, chin a little tucked, eyes closed or gazing downward. And if you're gazing downward, don't focus in on anything. You do not want to create tension around your eyes. So soft gaze. And this can sound weird if you've never done it, but it will be a guided meditation practice. Feeling now your body on the chair or couch or bed. The pressure and weight of your body sinking with gravity. Heavy, pressing downward, but supported by the chair. And begin to relax and let go of any muscle tension in your face and head. Relaxing your forehead, softening the eyes, loosening your jaw. With your next exhale, you might drop your shoulders down and back even more. Opening the chest, relaxing your neck, shoulders, arms, and hands. Noticing if your belly is soft. And circling around, checking out your upper, mid, and lower back. And if you notice you're holding any tension, see if you can take a long, slow, deep breath. And visualize sending that cushion of air to that area of tension to support it. Help let it go a bit. Relax your pelvis, legs, and feet. As we do this practice, your mind will wander. It is the nature of mind. When it does, notice thinking is happening or just thinking, you can say that silently in your mind and then bring yourself back to focus. So today I want to invite you to, for a moment, think about some of the uncertainty that has been difficult for you. Don't choose something traumatic, please. Choose something that has been challenging but manageable, but that causes you anxiety, fear, sadness, anger, frustration, difficult emotions. And I'd invite you to notice your thoughts about that. Notice how the mind is seeking answers usually to something that it cannot know. Is my mother going to get well? When is this going to be over? Will I have a job at the end of this? What, so many questions. Notice what your mind is telling you. And you can thank your mind for trying to protect you, but tell your mind, not so helpful mind, you can't know. I see you're trying to know, but you can't know. And instead, I would like you to recognize the emotions that are present. Let go of the story of what's happening. And instead, label, oh, I see anxiety. Or this is what frustration feels like. Can you notice what you're experiencing? And we want to allow the emotion because it is already in our body. So if you can, welcome the emotion, and if you can't, that's all right too. Hello, anxiety, I see you. Welcome to my guest house, my body. And now, as you breathe, can you investigate and notice where that emotion is taking up residence and how? Just breathing with it. Is your mind spinning or clenched? Do you have tension in your eyes or your jaw, or your throat feels constricted? Your shoulders, neck, maybe hands. How is this emotion affecting your breath and your heartbeat? Does your chest feel heavy or light, open or closed? Is your belly churning? Notice where you feel the emotion in your body. And it could be in many places. Can you tell yourself, this too I can be with, they're just unpleasant body sensations. I can be with them. And as I breathe with them, they will shift and change. And then we always remember that we are not alone. It doesn't matter what we are experiencing. There are millions of people on the planet right now experiencing the same emotion for the same reason. They too are worried that someone is dying. They too are anxious that their child is struggling with school. They too are sad because they've lost a relationship. They too are overwhelmed because they don't know how they're going to pay the bills. Pick a topic, any topic. There are no new human stories, and they are universal. We so often think it's just me. It's never just you. And the other thing we remind ourselves is it's not forever. This too shall pass, everything does. And then we want to use the real organ that we need in this moment, the heart. The heart, to nurture ourselves. So if it feels comfortable for you, I'd invite you to put your hand on your heart, or you can hold your arms, or you can put your hand on your shoulder. Whatever feels comfortable, and if that doesn't, keep your hands in your lap. Do what feels authentic. Now I am going to say some phrases, and I'll invite you to speak them to yourself as if a wiser part of you is speaking to a part that is struggling, or you can visualize someone who loves you very much saying these words to you. You are as you are. May you accept yourself just as you are, perfectly imperfect, just like everyone else. You're doing the best you can. And that's all anyone can do. I can see that you're struggling with an emotion that is difficult. Anyone would find this situation difficult. It is okay to be anxious. It's okay to be afraid. They're just emotions. May you know that people love and support you. May you find moments during the day where you are comforted and you relax and you laugh. May you remember you are not alone. This is a human struggle, and many people share it with you. May you feel comforted and find ease. May you be gentle with yourself and treat yourself kindly like you would a friend. And then it actually makes us also feel better to wish others for their well-being. So if you know another person who is also struggling, feeling what you're feeling, fearful of finances or kid issues or health issues or whatever the issue is, you can visualize that person, or you can send this out to everyone on the planet to hopefully ease their suffering. That is what we want to do with mindfulness, is help ease the suffering on the planet of ourselves and others. So wishing them, may all of you who share my emotion in this moment accept yourself just as you are, perfectly imperfect like everyone else. May all of you who are struggling with this difficult emotion and experience know that you're doing the best you can, and that's all anyone can do. May you be gentle with yourself and take care of yourself and speak kindly to yourself through this difficult time. May you remember that you are not alone. I am with you, as are many, many other people. And we will get through this somehow. And may you find peace. And may we all have peace of mind. So noticing how it feels, and if you want to add any other words to yourself or to others who are also suffering, struggling, whatever words you think would be helpful, say them at this time. And then taking a long, slow, deep breath in. And when you're ready, opening your eyes or raising your gaze. So, anybody want to share their experience? So what we just did was RAIN practice, and RAIN is another acronym. It stands for recognize the emotion, accept or allow it because it's already in your body, investigate where it is taking up residence, and realize we don't need to go get a drink. We don't need the wine. We don't need to overeat. We don't need to go surf the net or go do something self-destructive. It's just an unpleasant physical sensation in the body. That's what emotions are, chemical downloads that affect our nervous systems and muscles, and they're uncomfortable unless they're happy emotions, right? So it's learning that I can be with this. It's not going to take me over. It's just a really unpleasant churning of the stomach. I can breathe with it and notice that it gets better and maybe worse. And then my shoulder is tight, and can I breathe into it and let go of the tension? So, and then the N stands for not alone, not forever, and nurture yourself. And it's the heart that we need to turn to. The mind is desperately spinning, trying to answer the unanswerable. And instead, we need to say, this is hard, and bring heart to it. So I hope you found that through this practice, you felt more calm, more peaceful, that it helped you be with the emotion. And sometimes the emotion just goes through, just passes through. Anybody want to make any comments?
Well, I certainly feel much more relaxed and more prepared to take on this upcoming week. I know
Good.
many of us have a lot going on, so thank you for sharing this with everybody.
Yeah. Happy to do it. These practices can be oh, thanks. They're great techniques. Good. They can be practices for life. Like I said, my sister even came about a year after I had started studying this, and she said, wow, you're still doing so much stuff, but you just seem so much more relaxed than you've ever been. And I'm like, yeah, it's transformational. I don't need to have that crazy energy, like we do even in traffic, where we're, gripping the wheel and what's going on up there. You just don't need to live that way. And so this can be a just different way of approaching things and truly going to meet your own needs. And which we don't do often enough. We're on autopilot pushing through, and if we don't stop, it comes out sideways. We say and do things we regret, right? Been there, done that myself. So this is just a practice these practices that can be helpful. We are starting a class tomorrow night, and it's the class that is the most studied curriculum, mindfulness-based stress reduction. My partner, Eric Lopez, who is affiliated with Brown University, is teaching that class. There's still time to sign up. It starts at 6 o'clock on Tuesday nights for the next 8 weeks. And there's another class on mindfulness essentials that is slightly different. It uses a UCLA model. And then another class on building more happiness and peace, which is a cultivations class that also is starting. So www.mindfulbeinghouston.com is our website and my company. And you can sign up for classes. We also have been doing, thank you, Katie, appreciate that. We've also been doing free noon guided meditations on Facebook Live from noon to 12:30, Monday through Friday. And those are posted, so even if you want to watch them at 1 in the morning because you can't sleep, you can go on and get a guided meditation on Mindful Being Facebook Live. And another app that I would highly recommend is called Mindfulness Coach. It's by the Veterans Administration. and it's free to the public, and it's being used now, mindfulness with PTSD. So it's a really, really helpful mindfulness coach app. And you can just download that, and I think it's quite well done. There are many other apps, Calm, Breathe, 10% Happy, or Insight Timer. You know, you have to pay for those on a monthly basis, but some of those are quite good as well. So I'd love to see anybody who wants to in a class, and I thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us for the second session. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I hope you feel prepared to take on the week. And like Anne was mentioning, she's got tons of classes coming up. You're welcome to join her. I probably will be joining in a few myself. So thank you guys all for joining us with the Health Museum and our Member Monday meetups. We're focusing again on mental health awareness this month, so we won't be hosting as many in-person screen session times. We encourage you to take a break from your screen and really focus on these practices that Anne has shared with us this evening. And thank you guys all again for being huge supporters of the Health Museum during our closure.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Y'all be safe, be well.
Thank you, Anne. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.